For us wheelchair users, one of the most important areas of our body that we can train is our back muscles. And the reason for this is that in our everyday life, especially as a manual wheelchair user, we are using our front muscles, our chest, shoulders, triceps, a lot more than we're using our back muscles. And it's not just pushing our wheelchairs either, it's also typing on the laptop, being on our phone, eating dinner. It's all using the front of our body. What happens is that our back muscles then become weak. That weakness causes an imbalance, and it can lead to such things as shoulder injury and many more unwanted side effects. So we want to build a big, strong back to be able to counteract our daily activities and also to support ourselves to prevent us from getting injury. To effectively work the back, we need to make sure we're prioritizing certain things so that when we are training, we're maximizing the effort, hitting every muscle and getting the most out of every workout. In this video, I'm diving into tailor-made strategies specifically for us wheelchair users to target that back. And the first strategy here is prioritizing full range of motion. And what I mean by that is that we want to make sure we're taking the muscles. Achieving a full range of motion during back training is paramount to make sure we're targeting every muscle. And that's because some upper back muscles are only fully engaged when we go through that full range of motion. Let's take a cable row, for example. We have the arm in front of us, we row the elbow back so it comes to our side, and we come back to the front. But if we're not getting that full stretch at the front here, and not pulling it back each time we do the exercise, we're not actually working the rhomboids. And they are vital to make sure we're having good shoulder scapular stability. Also, we want to target the muscle in that stretch phase. So when we're pulling it right the way through here, we've got that stretch under load and we're pulling right the way through the range of motion. The reason for this is because the muscles are designed to work in those range. And when we work in the stretch range, we're really targeting on the strength and durability of those muscle fibers. This makes those back muscles much more resilient and much better at making sure that your body is nice and stable, which leads to less injuries. So if you're doing lat pull downs, rows, or a rear fly, make sure you're getting into that stretch phase, squeezing those shoulder blades together and pulling all the way through your range of motion. And the next strategy links nicely to the previous one and some upcoming ones too, which is to focus on the connection between your mind and the muscle. So rather than just going through the motions and getting that stretch and going all the way through, I want you to think of it in parts of the movement. So it's stretched, and then we bring that shoulder blade back across the body, squeezing those back muscles as you do it, and then bringing it back, releasing the shoulder blade. Really thinking about it is each step by step, not just going through the motions. This focus brings more muscle engagement and ensures that the right muscles are being targeted. For example, on the lat pull down, it can be easy to focus on just bringing that hand down. But when we do that, what happens is we engage the bicep more because you're focusing more on bending the elbow. If we focus on bringing the elbow down towards our side instead though, what happens is the focus goes onto those back muscles. So it's the connection between your mind and the movement. Make sure we're fully engaging the correct muscles. Next up is all about varying the angle of your approach. Now what I mean by this is that the back works in multiple planes of motion. It doesn't just pull down like a lat pull down or row like a row, but every increment along the way works the back in several different ways. Generally, if we're working in an upwards or incline motion, we're focusing more on the upper back muscles. For example, like a shrugging motion works the traps. If we do movements like a rowing motion, we're working on the lats and the upper back together, although we can change it up there by doing a crossover or a rear fly to hit that upper back and shoulder muscles more. Finally, if we're pulling down or in a decline position, what happens is the focus goes more onto the lats. So changing up that angle hits the back in slightly different ways and targets different muscles. But on pretty much every exercise here, we want to make sure we're retracting those shoulder blades, engaging those rhomboids. So if you're shrugging up, shrug and squeeze the shoulder blades together at the back. So if you're doing a row, squeeze the shoulder blades together before pulling it back. Even on the crossover, squeeze those shoulder blades behind you. And on the lat pull down, bring it down, squeeze the shoulder blades down and back. So we're getting that good scapular retraction. Next up, we want to focus on a controlled tempo. And what I mean by that is slowing the movement down and really focusing on each part of it. And it kind of links into what we were talking about, the mind-muscle connection. But with this, what we want to do is pull that towards you, pause for a second, and then slowly lower it over about 2 or 3 seconds back again. The reason for this is if we just focus on the pull and then just release it, we're only getting half of the workout in. So we're only exercising our muscles for half the time. When we pull it in towards us, That's great, it's contracting that muscle, but the slow release, the eccentric phase, is also working that muscle too in a slightly different way. And if you do this, you'll see much better results in a much shorter time. And you may find you need to put your ego in check and just drop that weight down in order to be able to do this workout. But you will find that with a slower tempo and a lighter weight, you'll get better results than just going heavy. Because again, it's not about the weight you lift, it's about the tension you put on your muscle. More tension with the slower movements is much better. And it's much safer too. And don't worry, as you get stronger, you can build that weight back up and boost your ego a little bit as you start to lift heavier than you ever have before. And our last strategy here is that we want to be focusing on those big compound movements. So movements like a crossover or a shrug are really nice, but we can incorporate some of their benefits in our bigger lifts. For example, doing a rear fly, we can get that benefit in by retracting the shoulder when we're doing the rows. So it's best to focus on those big rowing motions, whether that's doing a lat pull down, a regular pull down, a row, a wide row. Focus on those big movements. This is because that whole upper back is being recruited, all the muscle fibers are working together and getting maximum results from your training. Also, when we're recruiting the entire back, we can go heavier with the weights, and adding more weight to a controlled tempo is the best way you can get both strength and size gains, getting the benefits from your back workout. So let's just summarize what we've learned in this video. We want to make sure we're getting full range of motion. We want to make sure we're going through that stretch phase, retracting the shoulder blades back, and going all the way through the range of motion to make sure our muscles are getting worked fully and making sure our muscles are getting good time under tension, especially in that stretch phase, for maximum muscle resilience. We want to make sure we are breaking down the exercises and focusing on that mind-muscle connection so we're getting proper muscle activation as we go through the range of motion. We want to vary the angle of attack to make sure we're focusing on different muscles in different exercises to get a complete back workout in. We also want to have a controlled tempo, not just on the contraction of the muscle, but also for the extension too. And we want to make sure we're doing big movements like a lat pull down or a row to engage the most muscles as we can and get the best from your training. So you have it, guys. If you have any comments, questions or concerns about any of the strategies I've talked about today, let me know down below and I'll be sure to help you on your training journey. If you did like the video, hit that thumbs up button. It really does help out the channel and helps this video to reach more people just like you. And if you're new here or you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one and many more coming too. Thank you very much for coming today and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye. Are you ready to start your fitness journey? Then sign up now at adapttoperform.co.uk and get access to hundreds of workouts specifically for us wheelchair users.